RASP candidate, the man who hasn't earned anything yet. You are 21 years old, and you are standing in the dark at Fort Benning, Georgia, at 0400 hours, and the only thing you know for certain is that your legs stopped feeling like legs 3 hours ago. You are in RASP, the Ranger Assessment and Selection Program. This is not Ranger School. You haven't gotten there yet. This is the test before the test. The filter before the filter. Roughly half the men who start here will not finish. Nobody is cruel about it. Nobody needs to be. The program does it without raising its voice. You volunteered. You filled out the paperwork, passed the physical, cleared the background check. You told yourself you were ready. The man running PT at 0400 in the Georgia heat did not ask if you were ready. He just started the clock. Your days begin before the sun and end after it. Ruck marches in full kit, swim assessments, land navigation in the dark with a compass and a grid reference and nothing else. The coal range, where they will break you down to the simplest version of yourself and see what's left. Some men quit here. They walk to the cadre and say the words. Nobody mocks them as they go. The ones who stay don't have time to. You are not a ranger yet. You are a candidate. The difference is everything. What nobody told you before you got here is that the hardest part is not physical. The hardest part is what happens at hour 14 of a 16-hour day when your mind starts negotiating with you, starts offering reasons, starts building arguments for why stopping would be reasonable. The men who finish RASP are not necessarily the strongest or the fastest. They are the ones who learn to stop listening to that voice. You are 21 years old, standing in the dark. The clock is still running. So are you. 75th Ranger Regiment, the man who runs toward the problem. You made it through RASP. You are now assigned to one of the 3 Ranger battalions, 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, part of the 75th Ranger Regiment, one of the most rapidly deployable light infantry forces in the world. Rangers have been at the tip of the American military spear since the Second World War, from the cliffs of Pointe du Hoc in June 1944, to the streets of Mogadishu in 1993, to the mountain passes of Afghanistan in the early 2000s. The regiment has a history that demands something from every man who wears the scroll. Your world now is speed, violence of action, and direct action raids. Airfield seizures, hostage rescue support, are high-value target capture or kill. These are not slow, deliberate operations. They are fast, rehearsed, and precise. You practice the same breach hundreds of times until it stops being a skill and becomes a reflex. The Ranger Creed is not a decoration on a wall. You recited it during training. You will recite it again. Never shall I fail my comrades. These are not words. They are a contract. You feel it every time the aircraft ramp drops. The standard here is the Ranger Standard. That phrase means something specific. It means nothing below the line. Every piece of kit, every weapon function check, every accountability formation. The standard does not move for discomfort, weather, or exhaustion. You are 23 now. You have deployed once. You have been in the stack on a target, in the dark, in a country most Americans cannot find on a map. And you did the job. That is all. You did the job. Rangers lead the way. Special Forces assessment and selection. The man being measured. You are trying to become a Green Beret. To do that, you first have to survive SFAS, Special Forces Assessment and Selection, at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. This is not a course. There are no grades. There is only the cadre, watching, recording, deciding. SFAS runs roughly 24 days. In that time, you will ruck more miles than you want to count, navigate terrain at night alone, work in small teams on problems designed to have no clean solution, and be observed doing all of it. The cadre does not yell. They watch. The watching is worse than the yelling. What they are looking for cannot be found in a weight room or on a PT test. They are looking for something harder to measure. Maturity, judgment, the ability to function in ambiguity without falling apart. The Army already has plenty of men who can run fast and lift heavy. Special Forces needs men who can lead a team of Afghan farmers in a counterinsurgency campaign, or plan a covert reconnaissance mission in a denied area, or advise and accompany partner forces under enemy contact. You are 26. You've served 4 years in a conventional unit before volunteering. You know what discipline looks like. What you don't yet know is whether you have what SFAS is looking for. Nobody knows until they're in it. The men who fail here don't always fail on the rock. Some fail on the quiet assessments, the team events where leadership emerges or doesn't. The questions with no right answer, answered wrong. The moment when a man reveals himself under low sleep and high pressure. You carry your ruck, you navigate your grid, you keep your mouth closed and your mind open. They are still watching. Special Forces operator, the man who works in the shadows. You passed SFAS. Then you completed the Special Forces qualification course, the Q course, 57 to 95 weeks of training depending on your specialty. Weapons, engineering, medical, communications, or intelligence. You learned a foreign language. You studied unconventional warfare doctrine that dates back to the Office of Strategic Services in World War II. You were assessed again and again and again. Now you have the tab. Now you are a Green Beret. Your unit is an Operational Detachment Alpha, an ODA, 12 men, a captain, a warrant officer, and 10 non-commissioned officers, each cross-trained, each a specialist, each capable of carrying the team if necessary. This is not a rifle platoon. This is a precision instrument. The Green Berets were founded in 1952 under the vision of General Robert McClure and shaped in large part by Colonel Aaron Bank, a veteran of OSS operations behind Nazi lines. Their purpose then was to organize, train, and lead guerrilla forces behind Soviet lines in the event of a major European war. That purpose evolved. Today, an ODA might be in Colombia, Niger, the Philippines, or Jordan, advising local security forces, building partner capacity, conducting sensitive site exploitation, or performing direct action when called upon. Weeks pass on deployment with no contact. You train with host nation soldiers who don't fully trust you yet. You learn to operate in that distrust without being destabilized by it. Some of those soldiers eventually become capable. Some don't. You adapt. The general public pictures the Green Berets kicking indoors. That happens. But the deeper work, the year-by-year cultivation of a functional allied force in an unstable region, that is slower, harder, and less visible. It is also what changes the strategic picture. 12 men, 1 team, 1 problem. You work it until there's a solution or until you're pulled. SEAL Basic Underwater Demolition / SEAL Training. The man in the cold water. It is 0200 hours, and you are standing chest deep in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of Coronado, California, and the instructor is telling you to lock arms with the man beside you. You are in BUD/S, Basic Underwater Demolition / SEAL Training. Phase 1. Hell Week has not started yet, which means it is still just very hard, which means you are still sleeping roughly 4 hours a night, which you have begun to think of as luxury. The Naval Special Warfare Center has run some version of this pipeline since 1961, when the first SEAL teams were established by President John F. Kennedy as part of a broader expansion of American unconventional warfare capability. The training was designed to be brutal by intention. The idea was that water, cold, and sleep deprivation applied across 7 days without pause would locate the line inside every man between the decision to continue and the decision to stop. That line is what they are looking for. Hell Week arrives in the second week of first phase, 5.5 days, roughly 20 hours of physical activity per day. Core body temperature, constantly managed. Instructors, constantly present. The brass bell, always visible. Ring it twice and you're done. Here they will give you dry clothes and hot coffee within minutes. Some men ring it after 2 days. Some after 4. Some after 20 minutes on the first night. You have not rung it. You are still in the surf, locked arms with the man beside you, and he is shaking the same way you are shaking. And neither of you is going to be the one who says anything about it. This is not about swimming. You already know how to swim. This is about who you are when comfort becomes a distant memory and the only variable left is your decision. The cold doesn't stop. You stop noticing it. You have been told the water temperature. You have stopped caring. NSW SEAL, the man who operates at sea, air, and land. 3 phases of BUD/S. Then SEAL qualification training. Then assignment to a SEAL team. Team 2, Team 4, Team 8 on the East Coast. Team 1, Team 3, Team 5, so Team 7 on the West, Team 6, and Team 10 in specialized roles. You have the Trident, the Eagle, Anchor, Pistol, and Trident. You earned every piece of it. SEAL operations span the full spectrum. Maritime special reconnaissance, direct action, counter-terrorism, information operations, personnel recovery. Your platoon of 16 men, 2 squads of 8, is the core unit. The platoon trains together for 18 months before deploying. By the time you're on a target, you and the man to your left have rehearsed the breach so many times that the conversation happens in looks, not words. The history of naval special warfare is written in operations that mostly do not have public names. The raid on Osama bin Laden's compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan on May 2nd, 2011, conducted by SEAL Team 6, officially Naval Special Warfare Development Group, is the one that most people know. What people understand less is the decade of intelligence work, dry runs, and deliberate targeting that made that one operation possible. The raid took 38 minutes. The build-up to it took years. Your deployment does not look like that raid. Your deployment looks like small boat operations in the Gulf, or maritime interdiction patrols, or advising partner forces in a country that will not be named in this script. The glamorous version of the work and the actual work share a name and not much else. You did not join for the glamour. You joined because, at some point, you looked at what was possible for a human being under extreme pressure, and you decided to find your version of it. The trident on your chest is not a decoration. Oh, it is a statement of what you went through to be here. Every SEAL you've ever met knows exactly what it cost. 161st SOAR, the man who flies into places that don't exist. You are not an operator. You are something operators cannot exist without. You are a night stalker, a pilot or crew member of the 161st Special Operations Aviation Regiment, based at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. You fly the helicopters that carry the operators to places that don't appear on public maps, at altitudes and airspeeds, and in weather conditions that conventional aviation units do not attempt. The 161st was founded in 1981, out of the ashes of Operation Eagle Claw, the failed 1980 Iran hostage rescue attempt that collapsed partly due to aviation coordination failures. The Army looked at what went wrong and built a unit designed to make those failures impossible. And the result was Task Force 160, later redesignated the 161st SOAR, the most capable special operations aviation force on Earth. Night Stalkers fly MH-60 Black Hawks, MH-47 Chinooks, and MH-6 Little Birds. They fly nap of the Earth routes at night, below radar, often in degraded visual environments. Dust, cloud, zero ambient light. Their standard is called the Night Stalker Standard. It means plus or minus 30 seconds on time over target. Not a minute. Not 45 seconds. 30. The Chinooks that carried the assault force in Abbottabad flew from Jalalabad to the target at low altitude in Pakistani airspace without authorization, at night. When one of them went down in the compound, a hard landing from unexpected downwash, the backup Chinook was already inbound on a precisely calculated timeline. That's not luck. That's a regiment that has spent 40 years making sure luck is not required. You train constantly. Your flight hours are staggering. Your maintenance crews work when you sleep. The regiment is a machine with one purpose: getting the right people to the right place at the right moment without being seen or heard until it is too late to matter. You don't get the credit. The operators do. You know this. You don't fly for the credit. Delta Force, the man most people have never heard of you, are 31 years old, and you have been in the Army for 9 years. You have served in the Rangers. You have served in Special Forces. You have done things in both that will not be in any record available to the public. And now you are trying out for 1st Special Forces Operational Detachment Delta. Most people call it Delta Force. The Army does not officially confirm its existence by that name. You know it exists because you are standing in front of the men who run the selection, and the selection is going. Delta was established in November 1977 by Colonel Charles Beckwith, a Special Forces officer who had been attached to the British Special Air Service on an exchange program in the early 1960s, and come back with a clear idea of what American Special Operations Forces were missing. It took him years of pushing through institutional resistance to build it. When it was finally activated, it was built in the image of the SAS, a small, flexible, mission-agnostic, direct action and counter-terrorism force with the ability to operate in the deepest denied environments. Delta selection is deliberately opaque. The specific events are classified. What is known publicly from accounts like Eric Haney's Inside Delta Force is that it begins with physical events similar to SAS selection: long rucks, progressive distances, no time standards given, assessed performance without comparison or feedback. It proceeds to psychological evaluation of a depth most men have not previously experienced. The interviewers are looking for something beyond fitness or skill. They are looking for an internal architecture, the ability to absorb enormous ambiguity, function in isolation, and make correct decisions with incomplete information under lethal pressure. Many who attempt it are already the best in their units. Most don't finish. You finish. The paperwork takes longer than the selection. Now you are in a squadron. The work begins. Our intelligence support activity. The man who was never there. You are not listed on any public organizational chart. The unit you serve in has had more names than most people have addresses. The Field Operations Group, the Army of Northern Virginia, the Capacity Augmentation Program, the Strategic Support Branch, and the name it goes by today is not something that appears in this script. You are part of the Intelligence Support Activity, ISA, founded in 1980, again in the aftermath of Operation Eagle Claw, because the failure in Iran revealed something beyond aviation problems. The intelligence available to the operators had been thin, compartmentalized, and in critical ways, wrong. ISA was built to fix that, to put intelligence collectors inside denied areas before the assault force, building the picture that operators need to act on. ISA operators do not primarily conduct raids. They conduct intelligence preparation of the battlefield, which is a formal term for spending weeks or months in a target environment under cover, building relationships, collecting signals and human intelligence, and fusing it into actionable product for commanders who will never know your name and will refer to you only in terms of the intelligence you produced. The men and women of ISA have operated in Beirut, Bogota, Mogadishu, Baghdad, and elsewhere. In some of those places, under some of those names, during operations that were considered failures, some ISA personnel were compromised, captured, or killed before the main force ever reached the objective. You carry no identification linking you to any special operations unit. Your cover story is detailed and practiced. Your communication procedures involve frequencies and methods that don't show up in unclassified doctrine. Your chain of command goes somewhere that most of the US military cannot see. The operators who execute the raid get the debrief and the recognition. You got there first. You made the raid possible. Nobody will say so in public. That was always the deal. JSOC Commander, the man who sees the whole board. You command the Joint Special Operations Command. The men and women under your authority include Delta, SEAL Team 6, the 161st SOAR, ISA, and the full architecture of enabling forces. Intelligence, logistics, aviation, signals that make the finest special operations capability in history function as a single instrument. JSOC was established in 1980, headquartered at Fort Bragg. It created to provide a unified command structure for the nation's most sensitive military operations. Generals William Garrison, Stanley McChrystal, Joseph Votel, and others have sat in this chair and reshaped what it means to apply special operations power at the strategic level. Under McChrystal, JSOC underwent the most significant organizational transformation in its history, moving from a traditional hierarchical command to a networked force capable of running 300 simultaneous operations across multiple theaters. The intelligence fusion cell, the interagency relationships, the targeting cycle that compressed from weeks to hours to minutes. That architecture was built in this command. You don't carry a rifle anymore. You carry authority, and authority at this level is a different kind of weight. Or every operation that goes is approved at your level or above. You know the names of the men going in. You know the intelligence picture, the risk calculus, the contingencies. You know what has been tried before and what failed and why. The strike that succeeds gets a White House briefing. The one that fails gets a congressional inquiry. Your name appears in both. That is the architecture of accountability at the apex of special operations. The operators you send are the finest soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines this nation has ever produced. They have trained for years, selected for qualities most people will never be tested for, and deployed into places most people will never see. They go because you send them. And they come back, when they come back, because of everything the institution built from level 1 to the moment they stepped on the aircraft. You know every level. You came up through some of them. You carry all of it. The mission never stops. Neither do you. Like and subscribe for more amazing content like this.